Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. You are watching Cafe con Cuca, and this is a short little story about a woman that I find absolutely fascinating. I could not find any pictures of her on the internet. In fact, the one picture that is circulating that says is her is actually not her. It is a picture of another pioneer female. However, this is the most flattering picture I can actually come up with because this card, the Queen of Wands, represents somebody who is fiercely passionate, fiercely independent, a spitfire of a woman who knows what she wants and will get what she wants. So in a sense, this card, with all respect, I picture as belonging to Doña Tules. If you know that name, Doña Tules, then you know that she is synonymous with the history of New Mexico. She was born Maria Gertrudis Barcelo down in the region of Sonora back in the early 1800s. She seemed to have, a normal, her family seemed to, have a normal lifestyle, not much, ado about, about what the parents did in the census, other than, the records of, their existence. However, in 1823, there is record that Maria Gertrudis Barcelo was married to Manuel Antonio Cisneros. What makes her such an awesome person is she kept her name. She did not adopt to his name. When she married him, she stayed true to her name, and I wholeheartedly respect her for that. She was 4 months pregnant when she was married, but like I say, back in the day, what was it, like 30% of the Puritans were kind of that situation? I don't know. That could be misinformation, but that's what I heard. So don't quote me on it. But everybody's human, and I'm not judging. So Doña Tules, even though as if marriage wasn't such a life-changing event for her, she unfortunately went through 2 tragedies back to back. She lost both her babies. And I think this was kind of the driver in which it made her determined to kind of live her life and become who she was. She honed in on her talent of being able to deal cards. My understanding is that she could deal a 3-card Monte to where the odds were generally in her favor. So she ran a little gambling place that ended up growing to where she opened up a bigger casino out there in Santa Fe, actually. And rumor has it, it was also a brothel. I don't know. Maybe she was a madam. Maybe she wasn't. Don't know. During this time, she did adopt 2 girls. Both of them seemed to kind of have the fiercely independent spirit as her, in which she was also very protective of her girls. And so even though she had her night job, she would go and lock up the house to make sure that the girls couldn't get out. One of them, Carmelita Lopez, I believe, would play records all night to soothe her raven, and she would dance away. Petra had a little more of a rebellious spirit. She would sneak guys in, and allegedly she did get pregnant at a very young age, in which Doña Tules did adopt that little girl and loved that little girl very much. I don't know if it was a legal adoption, but she did love that little girl. So as far as her husband, rumor has it that they did stay, they were married, but they lived apart. He had his own house near her vicinity. She owned all the property. The wealth was primarily hers. There's no record of him after the 1840 census, so it's assumed that he did die. I don't know. Now, with Doña Tules, it was known that she did fall in love with a Prussian soldier. And my understanding is he was very protective of her, even shielding her from a gentleman who, or I don't know if he was a gentleman, but somebody pulled a gun on her. So, like I say, what is interesting about her was during this time, she overcame her tragedy. She stayed true to herself. She honed in on her talents, was able to acquire a business and vast property and vast wealth. She was also synonymous with dealing with the U.S. cavalry as well as delegates and those that were on the forefront of establishing New Mexico as becoming part of the United States. So Doña Tules, I think, was instrumental on even kind of almost, I believe there was a story where she may have stopped some Indian raids or something like that, but she was on the side of the American government. Now, the where I have, like I say, I have vast respect for this woman who, like I said, overcame tragedy and made a life for herself. Towards the end of her life, around 1850, I think, is where she began to fall ill. Like I say, there could have been some foul play. I don't know. But she ended up leaving this world on January 17th, 1852. She managed to, she wanted a big funeral. It was one, and she managed to actually pay her way to be buried in one of the chapels out there in New Mexico. And, my understanding is it takes a lot of money. I guess there was also a lot of controversy considering she was also declared the Queen of Sin. There was an article that was made about her, I think in 1846, April of 1846. Oh, no, April of 1856. So this person who wrote the article obviously never met her, and it was not a flattering picture. But then again, that's kind of how history wrote strong women, especially maybe those who are minorities. But she had a grand funeral, from what I understand, and the Catholic Church allowed her to be buried within the chapel. So, like I say, this card, I mean it as definitely no disrespect, because like I say, I find that the deck from Santa Muerte kind of brings up a beautiful history of a connection to the ancestors and whatnot. And so this card, when it kept popping up in my read, and it's just somehow she came across my feed, and so I learned about her. But there's actually not a lot of information about her. But like I say, she's an interesting person, and she is well worth looking into. So if you have any other additional information to provide about her, please do share or offer some more insight. Like I say, to me, to see that there was this, this woman who kind of took up her life and, made a name for herself. And in my opinion, kind of placed her in the history books. So, kudos to, Doña Tules. And like I say, in her independent spirit, she may have been known as the Queen of Sin, but in my book, she's the Queen of Wands. So I just wanted to share that with you. So have a lovely day. And I just want to send everybody love, light, and blessings, and enjoy your cup of coffee.